Yeah, so I have a question about comparable and subject property. So suppose if
Yeah.
subject property doesn't have a garage and comparable property has a garage, so which
Mhm.
one, uh, which price should be adjusted?
Good question. So this is something that a lot of people get confused about, right? So this is from our residential real estate course, and as a practicing agent, one of the things that people will ask you would be, okay, how much is my property worth, right? So how do we come up with a price for a property, or if you're wanting to write an offer on somebody's behalf, then how much the offer should be, right? So we base that on comparable properties. So, in terms of comparable properties, what we're trying to do is we are looking for similar properties in the neighborhood to our subject property. So, the subject property would be either the property that we're trying to list, or it will be the property that our buyer wants to write an offer on. So, that would be considered our subject property. Now, for the subject property, we don't have a price, or that's the price we're trying to find out. That's our variable X, right? So there's no price on that. We're trying to figure out what the price would be. So, in terms of our comparable properties, we're looking for properties that are very similar to our subject property. So, in this case, so let's say we're looking for a property that somebody wants to list, right? So, we're looking for other properties in the area that sold, that have recently sold. So, anywhere from 1 to 3 months. And we're looking for something that's very similar, right? So ideally, the property will have same number of bedrooms and bathrooms and garages and everything else that our property that we need to find the price for. That is rarely the case. So many times the property will be slightly different, right? So maybe our subject property, the one that we want to list, has two garages, but the property that sold only has one garage, right? Or the other property has 4 bedrooms while ours has 3 bedrooms. So it's not exactly comparable, right? So it's not exactly oranges for oranges. So what we need to do is now we need to take a look at the other property and make it the same as our subject property. So in this case, in order to make it the same as our subject property, we either need to, so if the comparable property is better, so let's say this is our subject property, right? So we have 2 garages. Our comparable property has 3 garages. So it's superior, it's better, right? So in that case, if the other property is better than our property, then we need to like remove that item from that property. So let's say it has 3 garages. Now we need to take away 1 garage and reduce the price of it. Okay. So if let's say our subject property was superior, then we have to add the price of garage. So let's say we had 2 garages, this one had one, right? So now we need to make this similar to ours. And in order to do that, we have to increase the price. Like we have to add something to it. So we have to add the cost of another garage to this one. So it's similar to this. Okay. So the important thing to keep in mind here is we don't know the price for our subject property. So we can never, ever make an adjustment to our subject property. Okay, so never an adjustment to subject property. It will always be comparable. Either the comparable is superior, it's better than ours, so we reduce the price to make it even, right? So let's say this had 2 garages, ours has one. So one garage, let's say, costs 20,000. So we will deduct 20,000 from this. Okay. Or what could happen is ours has 2 garages and this one has one. So we will add 20,000 to it to make it equal, right? We never can make, so keep that in mind. We can never make adjustment to subject property because we don't have a price, right? So like if you're doing math, right, it's our variable X. We don't know what X is. So we can't reduce anything from it. We cannot add anything to it. But sorry, comparable property has a price. So we can make adjustments to the comparable property. So we'll say, okay, the comparable property is, has 2 garages, reduce 20,000 and make it equal to our subject property. Or it has one garage, subject has two. So we add 20,000 to make it equal. Okay. So does that make sense?
Yes, Raman, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.